Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Siu.
Welcome to another edition of Marketing School. I'm your host, Eric Siu.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to be talking about where you should start your first marketing campaign. Neil, what are your thoughts?
It's actually funny. Depending on your business type, most people think that if I'm in B2B, then I should just copy what all the other B2B guys are doing. Or if I'm in B2C, I should just copy what all the other B2C guys are doing. Or heck, Dropbox succeeded because they use the invite flow and I should just copy that. Well, what worked for someone else won't necessarily work for you, even if they're in your same exact space. I remember when I had my first real business, which was an ad agency, and I was trying to figure out how to grow it, and I was looking for marketing channels to leverage. I was like, okay, what do my competitors leverage that I can just copy? And you know what? I copied some of my competitors' campaigns to the T, and they did not work out well for me, and they were actually negative, in which I was losing money. So if you're trying to figure out where you should start your first marketing campaign, I'm a big believer that it's like throwing spaghetti on a wall. You take a lot of marketing channels, you throw them on the wall, right? It's like you're throwing spaghetti. Whatever sticks is what you focus on. So with marketing, I would first try out a few things, maybe paid ads, SEO, Facebook ads, social media marketing, content marketing, etc. And then from there, I would see, all right, what has some legs? If I'm doing short experiments, what's somewhat working out and what's not? For the stuff that's not working out, I put it all to the side. And for the stuff that is working out, I pick the one that has the most potential with the least amount of work. I double down on that. Once I've done, let's say if that was SEO, once I do that, once I've maximized on the SEO from a time commitment perspective and it's already streamlined, I've created a process around it so other people can take it over, keep growing it, etc. Then I added more channels into the mix. So if the second thing that's stuck on the wall, like spaghetti, was content marketing, then the second thing I'll leverage is content marketing. And I keep doing this until I've created processes for each channel that we're going after and it's streamlined. And then once I've done that, for all the channels that didn't work well when we first started, I pick those back up again and I try testing and doing really creative things, drastic changes to see if I can get those channels to work. And then again, once I can get those channels to work, create processes, streamline, automate as much as possible, and then keep continuing from there.
Neil, what's your take on, when I first started doing this, my intuition was to put everything out there and throw everything against one, see what sticks. But you see people from the Silicon Valley area saying, especially the growth people, there's a couple of guys that are well known, and I'm sure you and I both know these people, but they're saying that the right strategy is not to throw everything against the wall and it's to focus on one area when you're starting out. What's your take on that? What's your response to that?
I do agree with that, but that is what I'm also saying too, in which you're throwing everything against the wall and you're seeing which channel sticks, and there could be a few of them that could stick. I'm saying only pick the one that sticks. Because if you just say focus, there's so many different marketing channels. If you don't throw it against the wall and you pick the wrong one, you're screwed. If you test it out really quickly, each channel, you see which sticks, and then you focus on the main one that's sticking well, that you feel that you can expand, scale, do in a really quick fashion, and get the best results, that's the channel you should be focusing on.
That's a great point. I mean, that's what I've known. It's everything I've known, and I've just kind of done that. It's just because it's been due to intuition. But for me, growth everywhere. After interviewing, I think it's over 200 entrepreneurs now, I always ask them a question. How do you go about acquiring the first 100 or 1,000 customers? And almost always without fail, the answer is hand-to-hand combat, right? It's going out there, knocking on doors. It's going out there, talking to customers, and maybe it's going out there and emailing people directly. It's you think of it as laser targeted type of marketing in the beginning. And I'll give you an example right now. With the new product that we're developing right now, it's a Slack bot. And instead of spending 15, 30, 45 grand developing this one feature that we're putting together right now, our way of marketing it to see if people actually want it is reaching out to people individually and sending them these things manually instead of trying to build everything out. And we're getting the validation, we're getting feedback from people on what to do. And most importantly, because this is a marketing thing, people are raising their hands saying, hey, I would actually pay for this. So we're getting those conversions. We're actually getting people to commit a certain amount, and we're getting dollars in the door without even having a product yet. So that's one example. I mean, that's a way of customer development, but you can also use that for marketing purposes as well.
And the one thing Eric mentioned that's really important is most companies, and I've seen this as well with a lot of startups, the first 100 customers are all being acquired manually. It's grunt work. You're going out there, you're grinding away until you can get the first 100 customers. The reason a lot of companies do this in marketing is because your first 100 customers will determine your first 1,000 customers, and your first 1,000 customers will determine your first 10,000 customers. So if you have the wrong 100 in there, it screws everything up. For example, if you pick the wrong first 100 customers and they churn and you're not making that much revenue and they're not really satisfied with your product, they're creating negative press, you're pretty much screwed, because those people don't just have a bad taste in the mouth. Nowadays with social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., people are able to put out there, hey, I tried out this company and it sucks. And once you have that kind of press going for you, it's really hard to rebound from it, especially during the early days.
So just adding on to that, when you're first starting out, it's getting a little easier when it comes to marketing nowadays. Facebook is one of the strongest acquisition channels. The minimum you can be doing is retargeting people that are coming back to your site. This is if you have a little traffic, but if not, here's the thing. You could perhaps write a few blog posts. You can call it an advertorial where you're writing about top mistakes people shouldn't be making, and you're driving Facebook traffic to that, seeing how people respond to it. And also, if you want to do some customer development, you can also use Facebook ads. You can also use Google AdWords as well. And this is a quick and easy way of testing things out when you're first starting. Neil talks about throwing things against the wall and seeing what sticks. And here's the other side. Neil and I both like content marketing. We both like SEO. That takes time to get going. You should get that going at the same time, in my opinion. But it's gonna take time to see results from that.
You also need to analyze your current situation. As a company, what is your cash flow? Do you need money today? Do you need it tomorrow? Do you need it a month from now, a year from now? What's your runway? In essence, if you weren't making any money, or if your current revenue is there and you have X dollars in the bank account, how long can you last? If you have to figure out how to make money in the next week or month, or else you're going to be shut down, you don't want to stick with strategies like SEO or content marketing, or even social media marketing, because they take so long to work. Building up a Facebook channel or a Twitter channel or getting rankings on Google, it's a lot of work. If that's the situation you're in, you're going to have to look at paid advertising. It could be Google AdWords, Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising, or it could even be affiliate marketing. But you have to look at your cash situation. If you're one of those entrepreneurs who's great at raising money and you raise $30 million, you know what? I would start focusing on the longer term strategies while I test out the paid advertising at the same time too. In that case, you don't have to pick a channel on which one to go after first. You can do whatever you want. 30 million bucks is a lot of money.
So let's end this episode talking about one channel that you would avoid. And I'll kick it off by saying, if you're starting out, perhaps in most cases, more often than not, it would not make sense to try to go out there and build affiliate or partnerships. A lot of people talk about partnerships. First of all, it's going to take a lot of time. It's sales, right? There's a sales cycle to it. And when you're working with other people, they don't necessarily have an incentive to work out things directly with you. They're in it for themselves at the end of the day. So when a lot of people come to me and say, oh, well, we're just going to go out there and build a lot of partnerships, they take a long time to manifest, and they're not necessarily going to have a huge success rate. I have a buddy who works at a tech company, and he just keeps locking in more and more business development deals. And here's the thing, sometimes, he'll lock in a big one with a company like Amazon, and holy crap, it returns almost nothing. Maybe he got a couple of sales from it, right? Sometimes with the partnership type of stuff, you think you're gonna rely on it, you think it's gonna bring you a bunch of users, and then you're gonna be disappointed at the end of the day.
The strategy that I would avoid if you're starting off would be content marketing. Although I love it to death, if you don't know exactly who you're targeting and you start creating content for the wrong audience, you're shit out of luck. That means all the posts that you've created won't do any good for you. Once you get your first 100 customers manually or through whatever channel you want, once you figure out exactly who they are, then you can create content from. For example, at Kissmetrics, our ideal customer was an e-commerce company or a subscription-based SaaS company that did over $10 million a year in revenue and had a VP of marketing or director of marketing. If the companies were smaller than 10 million and they didn't have a VP of marketing or a director of marketing, we found that they not only didn't pay us well, in which they wouldn't pay as much as compared to the larger companies, and they also would pay for a shorter period of time. But once they were above $10 million, they felt that it was really important to maximize their lifetime value of their customer. So not only would they sign up for a product, pay a decent amount for it, but they would put resources behind it internally to get it up and running so that way they can get true value out of the system. But again, if we didn't have our first 100 customers manually, or we didn't acquire the first 100 or whatever it may be through whatever channel you want to pick, we wouldn't know what content to write on. And if you look at Kissmetrics, we actually did start with inbound marketing first, or content marketing, and we picked the wrong audience to go after with our blog post, especially if you look at the very early blog posts on that blog.
All right, so final recap, key takeaways here are focus on hand-to-hand combat, pick out the channels that you think are going to provide the best return, throw things against the wall, and then focus in on those specific channels. And then from there, I mean, once you start doing the hand-to-hand combat thing, you're going to be able to figure out who your target persona is, who are multiple personas, who you're going to target exactly. You're going to figure out all the kinks, or not necessarily all of them, because you're always going to have problems, but you're going to figure out a lot of them, and then figure out, you're going to be confident in terms of how you want to go about selling this thing and scaling this thing at the end of the day. So let us know what you think about this episode. Go ahead and leave us a rating, review, and subscribe if you do actually like it. We really appreciate that, and it helps us a lot. And we'll see you in the next episode.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.